Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the most talked about pre-sales of the year. It's a project that's already raised more than $23 million. It's calling itself the next big payment token, and it's being branded all over social media as XRP 2.0. The name is Remittix. Now, when something gets compared to Ripple's XRP, it's worth paying attention, because XRP is one of the longest-standing, most battle-tested, and most controversial cryptos in existence. So the question we're asking today is simple. Is Remittix really the next evolution of XRP, or is it just another pre-sale hype train? We're going to take you through the numbers, the promises, the comparisons, and the risks. And by the end of this deep dive, you'll have a much clearer picture of whether Remittix has what it takes to live up to that XRP label. Let's start with the momentum. Pre-sales are a dime a dozen in crypto. Every week, there's another new project promising revolutionary technology, community rewards, or some kind of DeFi twist. Most of them fizzle out. Some never launch at all. But a few break through and capture attention. Remittix has clearly broken through. As of now, it's raised over $23 million in pre-sale, with more than 600 million tokens sold in record time. That's not small retail money. That's a wave of enthusiasm you usually only see when a project has found a strong narrative to hook people in. And the narrative here is clear. Remittix is pitching itself as a cross-border payments token, offering real-time crypto to fiat conversions across more than 40 currencies in 30 different countries. In other words, it's aiming straight at the payments use case, the same space Ripple targeted when it launched XRP more than a decade ago. And that's why people are calling it XRP 2.0. Because if XRP was the original experiment in blockchain-based global payments, Remittix is positioning itself as the updated, faster, leaner, more retail-friendly version. It even borrows from the language Ripple has used for years: speed, efficiency, bridging currencies, disrupting remittances. The comparison almost writes itself. But the real question is whether Remittix can back it up. Because it's one thing to promise solutions in a white paper. It's another thing entirely to get banks, governments, and institutions to use your token in the real world. XRP struggled for years to break through those barriers, and only now, after endless lawsuits and countless partnerships, is it finally gaining some regulatory clarity. So if Remittix wants to be XRP 2.0, it has to prove it can do what XRP couldn't, or at least do it faster and cleaner. Before we dive into the direct comparison, let's look at what Remittix is actually offering. The project's pitch is payments without friction. With the Remittix wallet, which is expected to launch in beta soon, users will be able to send money instantly across borders, swapping crypto into fiat at the other end without delays or big fees. They're talking about supporting more than 40 currencies right from the start, covering 30 countries. If they deliver on that, it would be one of the most ambitious payment rollouts we've seen from a pre-sale token. They're also promising exchange listings right after the pre-sale ends, and they've teased some early partnerships, though nothing concrete has been confirmed yet. On top of that, Remittix is leaning into the speculation game by throwing around massive price predictions. Some of their marketing material talks about potential gains of 15,000% from pre-sale to listing. Whether or not that's realistic, it's the kind of number that lights up retail imaginations. That's why people are piling in. But hype is only half the story. To really judge whether Remittix deserves the XRP 2.0 nickname, we need to compare it directly to XRP. And this is where things get interesting. XRP was launched by Ripple Labs in 2012 with the goal of making cross-border payments faster and cheaper than the outdated SWIFT system. It offered transactions in seconds, with fees so small they were almost invisible, and it could process thousands of transactions per second. On paper, it looked like the perfect bridge currency for banks, and Ripple spent years trying to convince institutions to use it. Some did, many didn't. And then came the lawsuits. The SEC went after Ripple, arguing XRP was an unregistered security. That cloud hung over the project for years, limiting adoption in the US and scaring off partners. Only in the last year or so has Ripple won partial victories that finally gave XRP some legal clarity. That's more than a decade of fighting regulators just to reach a point where institutions feel comfortable using the token. Now compare that to Remittix. It's starting from scratch. No legacy baggage, no lawsuits, no history of failed partnerships. In some ways, that's an advantage. It can market itself as the fresh alternative. But it also means it doesn't have Ripple's network, its years of business development, or its hard-earned relationships with banks. So when people call it XRP 2.0, they're not saying it's already surpassed XRP. They're saying it could be the spiritual successor, the next attempt to finally crack the payments code with a crypto token. Whether it succeeds will depend on execution. XRP had the vision, but ran into walls. Remittix is promising a more streamlined approach, but it hasn't faced those walls yet. Let's break down the comparison point by point. On speed, both XRP and Remittix promise near-instant settlement. That's table stakes in this game. On fees, both are tiny compared to traditional payment rails. On utility, XRP has actual partnerships with banks and payment providers, though adoption has been limited. Remittix is still in pre-sale, so it has no real-world use yet. On regulation, XRP is battle-scarred but finally gaining clarity. Remittix hasn't been tested by regulators yet, so the risk is unknown. On community, XRP has one of the most loyal bases in crypto, the XRP Army. Remittix is building a community fast, but it's still early. On price potential, XRP is a top 10 coin, already worth tens of billions. Its upside is slower, steadier. Remittix, being tiny, has the potential for massive percentage gains if it delivers, but also the risk of collapse if it doesn't. That's the trade-off, stability versus speculation. And here's where you, the listener, have to make a judgment. Do you prefer the battle-tested token that's survived regulators and still stands tall? Or do you prefer the shiny new project with no baggage, but no track record either? That's the real comparison between Ripple and Remittix. One is the grizzled veteran. The other is the rookie with a lot of hype. Now let's zoom in on Remittix's tokenomics. The pre-sale structure has been designed to create urgency. Each stage sells tokens at a slightly higher price, pushing people to buy early. That's a classic pre-sale tactic. They've capped the supply and are promising exchange listings soon after. They're also promoting staking rewards and potential partnerships to keep people holding instead of dumping at launch. Whether those mechanisms work will depend on how quickly they can roll out real utility. The wallet beta is key here. If users can actually send and receive payments across 40 currencies without friction, that would be a strong proof of concept. If the wallet is delayed or buggy, confidence could evaporate quickly. Execution is everything. Speculation is also part of the DNA here. Let's be honest, a lot of people buying into Remittix aren't thinking about cross-border remittances. They're thinking about that 15,000% number. They're thinking about turning a few $100s into life-changing money. That's how pre-sales work. They sell the dream first, the utility later. And sometimes, the dream alone is enough to create massive short-term returns. The danger is that without real adoption, those gains don't last. We've seen it before with other hyped pre-sales. Some exploded out of the gate and then collapsed within months. Others built slowly and turned into real projects. The difference is always execution. Here's where it gets bigger. Payments have always been one of the most compelling use cases for crypto. From Bitcoin's white paper to Ripple's pitch to Stellar's spin-off, the dream has always been simple. Money that moves as easily as email. No borders, no banks, no fees. It's an idea that resonates because everyone has felt the pain of slow, expensive transfers at some point. That's why projects like Remittix capture attention. They're not selling a DeFi farm or a meme token. They're selling a story that people instantly understand. If I can send $10 across the world in seconds without losing half of it to fees, that's a powerful story. That's why XRP had staying power. That's why Remittix has buzz now. But powerful stories need solid infrastructure. Ripple spent years building relationships and still struggled. Remittix has to not just build a wallet, but also build trust with partners, regulators, and users. That's where the real challenge lies. Because payments touch every part of the financial system. It's not enough to be fast. You have to be compliant. You have to be reliable. You have to be legal. And that's where the XRP comparison cuts both ways. On one hand, Remittix can learn from XRP's mistakes. On the other hand, it may run into the same walls XRP did. If you're holding crypto yourself, don't forget the basics. Keep it safe. Don't leave it all sitting on exchanges. Grab a Ledger hardware wallet. The link is in the description. Your keys, your coins. Looking ahead, the big question is whether Remittix can scale. Right now, it's a pre-sale with promises. If it delivers a working wallet, integrates 40 currencies, and actually handles global remittances, it could carve out a real niche. If it can't, it risks being just another pre-sale that fades away. The truth is, most pre-sales don't become top 10 tokens, but a few do, and the ones that succeed usually combine hype with real adoption. Remittix has the hype. Now it has to deliver the adoption. And that's where you come in. Do you believe Remittix can actually become XRP 2.0? Or is it just clever marketing? Do you see it as the next evolution in crypto payments, or just another speculative play? Drop your thoughts in the comments because I want to know what you think. So let's wrap this up. Remittix has raised big money, it's promising big things, and it's branded itself as XRP 2.0. Compared to XRP, it's untested but unburdened. It has upside, but it also has risk. It has momentum, but it hasn't faced regulators yet. It could be the next big payment token, or it could be another pre-sale that fades into the noise. The only certainty is that people are paying attention. And in crypto, attention is often the first step to adoption. That's it for today's deep dive. If you found this breakdown useful, smash like, hit follow so you don't miss the next one, and share your thoughts on Remittix versus XRP. Is it hype or the real deal? And as always, we will see you at the top.